Welcome to a very special episode of Out and About with Trev. At the end of last year, I was starting to feel a bit, I don't know really how I was feeling really. Things hadn't gone to plan over the last couple of years. I hadn't been able to obtain my uni degree. And the only word I want to say on that is I think it demonstrates that the uni system's a bit broken when someone can go and do all the classes, get really high quality results, and the only reason they don't get their degree is because no one wants to give them a chance to do some work. I had to do an internship somewhere, and I just couldn't get anywhere that'd do that for me. So I had to do 80 hours somewhere, but at the end of the day, that ended up getting snuffed out. It's now gone. I was sitting at 94% of the degree done at an average result of 84%. But like I said, I think it shows that the system's broken when I just end up having to walk away from it. So I was pretty pissed off about that, to be honest. I was a bit broken over it. I'd worked really hard on it. I'd also been unable to get any money together to get a vehicle, and that was really knocking me around. It was meant that some of the work I was doing, I was having to head out pushing my trolley around. That's tricky. Travelling around on public transport all the time is tricky. You can get to a lot of places, but you can't get everywhere, and it doesn't work with all the different hours and times that I'm meant to be at places. So you really, get towards the end of it, I was starting to feel pretty knocked around by that. I was also turning another year over. I was also turning another year older, and this one was important. I was turning 50. Wasn't sure how I was feeling about that, so I was all a little bit doom and gloom for a couple of months, and I thought, hang on, this is bullshit. I'm not sitting around here just, feeling sad about it all. I decided let's turn it into a more positive experience, and I started to plan a very special bushwalk first of all, I decided, well, bugger it, I'm not going to sit around here. For my birthday, I'm going to be up in the mountains somewhere. Then I started to think, well, where could I go that would be, a bit special and really nice? And there's a couple of, some really breathtaking places up there, but I thought, let's try and roll it into something really exciting. And then I started thinking, well, my mum's ashes are scattered at JB Plain. I thought, well, I could get dropped off there. I have to work on where I can get dropped off with public transport, and I can get dropped off there. So I thought we could start from there. And then I started looking at the map, and I thought, geez, if I hike down down the valleys and across the Fainters, down into the West Kiwa, and then up the other side, geez, I could make it to Bright. And Bright's where I lived for about 30 years with the family, and it's also where Dad's ashes are scattered. So I started to think, here's this really cool trip. I go from where Mum is to where Dad is. In the middle of it, I turned 50. And I thought, why not do that? And I started to get excited about that. It was also going to be a very important hit out for my plans to hike the Australian Alps walking track, which I'd planned for 2020. More on that in future episodes, but basically because of the current lockdown rules and where it's going, that's not going to happen. We're certainly not going to be able to hike it this year. More than likely not going to be able to hike it next year. So it may, look, I don't know what's going to happen with it, to be honest. We'll just see what happens. But this was an important hit out. I'd been playing with the menus. I was going to be out for 9 days. The biggest stretches I have to do on the AAWT are 9 days. So I thought, well, let's have a plan. Let's have a hit out for them. So it was all pretty exciting. It got me thinking a lot more positive about, instead of what hadn't worked, it was what I could play with. And so on November 22nd, I headed out. My birthday's on the 27th, so I had a few days up my sleeve. As usual, I travelled on public transport from where I live here in Reservoir into Southern Cross, and then a train all the way to Wangaratta. And then I get a bus from Wangaratta to Bright, sit around Bright a couple of hours, and then finally the Omeo to Bright bus goes back, and it takes you up over Mount Hotham. And at about 3:30 in the afternoon, I got dropped off on the side of the road at JB Plain and headed off on my hike. And here's how that went. here for a very special hike, and Bright's a great place. It's awesome, lots of things you can do up here. We've got paragliding, hang gliding, fishing, great drives in and around here, and of course there's lots of places where you can camp and things like that. And while this would be a great place to start a trip, actually this is going to be the end of my bushwalk. Behind me is the canyon walk, and that's a great place here in Bright. And my dad loved it there. He used to go down along here, and he used to try and find some gold. But he did that a lot.
Snags on the greasy off lights. Like you watch out for the monsters cause it's getting late. I'm cracky every guy for outside. This is summertime in Australia. Thank you. This is summertime in Australia. Heading to the beach to cool down or just to throw around. Music festivals every week. Daylight savings means the sun don't sing. And listening to the top 100 on Australia Day. It's a day done the only way. Just hanging out with all my friends. Summertime in Australia. Food is here, it's another good reason. Drink more beer and the rain is falling and the wind is blowing. Someone better have the fire going and head up to the mountain. Hit the slopes, the snow is where it's at, where it's below zero. Breathing in the cool fresh air, living my life without a care.
Well, I've just been dropped off at JB Plain. Back over this way, behind me, is Mount Tabletop, sort of over that way. Back up this way is Dinner Plain. And I'm heading this way. I've actually got a geocache up here, and I was advised by someone that found it that there's a bit of an issue with the box. So I'm just going out to check. I've got a little, this is a multi-cache thing, so you've got to go and find the main point, and then you've got to go and find a bit more information, which then takes you to a microcache, and then you get the information to go to the where the actual cache is located. So I'm actually just going to go and check the microcache, make sure it's okay. I actually replaced it in what was it, last year? Actually, yeah, last year when I was here for my JB Plain hike, I went out and I replaced the microcache. Couldn't actually find the one that was there, so there might actually be two of them out there. And what I'm But what I tried to find the main cache, but because there was so much snow, I couldn't find it. So I've actually changed the information for this. Initially, I said you could find it as a snow hike, but I think maybe that's actually a little tougher than I expected. We'll see how I feel when I find it a bit later on. But for the moment, the weather's absolutely stunning, as you can see. That's warm but not hot, and I'm looking forward to having the next 9 days out here. Unfortunately, I've already had a bit of an issue. Sometimes you just got to, get over what happens. I've actually left my sunglasses on the bus, so oh well, no sunglasses, but it could be worse. But anyway, I'll just have to deal with that. I don't think it'll be too bad. It'd be worse if I was in a snow camp, because when there's snow, you really need to have some eye protection, like sunglasses. Otherwise, you can get snow blindness. But for most of the hike, I'll be in and out of the shade, so it won't be too bad. Anyway, I just got to deal with it. I've got no other option. It is what it is.
She's a young boy.
My mum and dad, both of them, they loved this area, and we came here quite a number of times. We had barbecues in the hut. This is JB Plain Hut, and this is just an area they both loved, and especially when my mum died at the end of 2007, and we were trying to think about where we wanted to leave her ashes. Where was a place that she really loved? Well, it really was quite easy. This is the place that she loved it up here. Anytime I was coming up doing bushwalks and we came past this, she always said, "Can we stop at JB Plain?"
I said I'd take you there. I said I'd take you there.
Alright, so day 2, and the weather's still absolutely cracking. I had an awesome night's sleep. That's what you want when you're out here camping, especially when you're doing multi-day hikes. You need to have a good night's sleep. That's why I carry a really good mattress. You've got to have a warm sleeping bag, things like that. And I woke up a bit early this morning, and then I sort of went back to sleep, and then I've had a relaxed morning packing up my pack. That's nice when you can do that. Some days you've got to get up early, pack up quickly because you've got a big day, but today's an easy day. I'm only got about 8.5 kilometres to hike today, which is it's going to be nice. I'm going to head down across. Well, I'm going to head towards Mount Hotham and then down into Kabongo Valley, and there's some nice camps there. I've been through there on a different hike a few years ago, and I found some really nice campsites, and I put them in the GPS, so I'm looking forward to get down there. but I just thought I wanted to have some time here, and you know, this hike is really about sort of thinking about my parents who are both gone, but my mum really loved this area, and I just feel it's been great to be here for a number of hours, and that's why I could have got dropped. When I got dropped off, I could have hiked this bit yesterday, but I wanted to have some time here, which is really great. So today's mission is about 8.5 kilometres. What's going to be interesting today is I've got these trekking poles. I've never used them before. People have said they help. I'm going to see how they go. Again, like I say, I've never used them before, but we'll see how it goes. Well, this is slightly different. I'm just shuffling down the side of the Great Alpine Road, down to where Brandy Creek track dives off. There's actually a walking track just over here, but it seems to go away on the map. It seems to go away from the road and sort of go away from where the intersection is. So I thought, oh well, we'll just cruise down here. It's not too bad. I'm walking down the road. Some people don't like it, but oh well, it is what it is. At least here there's quite a bit of room, like the roads, there's enough for the cars, bit of a shoulder here for me to walk on, so it's not tight. And as you can see, the weather is absolutely cracking. I'm probably going to say that about, I don't know, 100 times over the next few videos, so there you go. What a great day for bushwalking, and what a spot. This is the top of Brandy Creek track. Down here about 1 kilometre is Brandy Creek Mine, where over 100 years ago they they found quite a lot of gold. Thousands of people poured into the areas. There was gold found in and around the districts here, and this was one of the places where they did a lot of it. And it's an interesting connection. This trip obviously is in, sort of to celebrate my, turning 50, but also to, remembrance of my mum and dad. And, both of them love the bush, they both love the mountains. But it also, right now, it sort of brings a bit of connection to my dad, because he was into gold panning. He did a lot of it down in the canyon, down at Bright. When I get down there, I'm going to go down and sort of sit down at some of the spots where he used to go, and it'll be interesting to think about that. He you know, he found places like this to be very interesting. Didn't actually come here, but down at Victoria Falls, a bit further down there, where they also did mining. We were there some years ago, and he just found it pretty amazing, you know, and he felt that connection, and I feel that connection right now, and it's really part of why this is such a special trip. It really is. And, you know, if you want to come out to these areas, you've got the Great Alpine Road right next to here. You can park right here, come and have a look at the signs and soak in some of the history of the area. I'm going to continue down past Brandy Creek Mine, down into Kabongo River and camp down there. It's a beautiful place. I've been there once before on a trip off Swindler's Spur and and then up Paling Spur, which is going to be tricky tomorrow, but that's for tomorrow. Today it's all about just chill out, have a few munchies here and just relax. It's only 10:30 in the morning, so I've got a very lazy schedule today, so it's going to be awesome. I'm going to go down to Brandy Creek Mine and find a geocache, so that's another reason or another thing to do while I'm out here. So again, this trip's just going to be one of those great, awesome trips, and already the weather's just absolutely cracking. But yeah, if you haven't been out here, it's a great part of the world and a great spot. And these tracks have been put in for people to go and explore. So come out and go explore them. Well, as you can see, the terrain's changed somewhat. Now back out into the bush, walking down the track down into Brandy Creek Mine, and it's a little bit like this. So looks like there's been management vehicles down here or somebody else. It is meant to be locked, closed off, only management vehicles in here, but looks like it's if it's like this all the way down, it won't be too bad. Be interested to see. Like I say, tomorrow's going to be my tough day, and I'm going to have to walk straight through the bush in sections. But we'll worry about tomorrow. For the moment, let's just admire the scenery, the awesome weather. It doesn't get much better than this, I can tell you. So right here is the intersection. About 50 metres away is Brandy Creek Mine, and I'm going to go have a look in there, but then I'm going to head down here down to the Kabongo River. The sign here says it's 2.4 kilometres away, so that's basically my afternoon mission. Too easy, yeah? Let's go see what the Brandy Creek Mine looks like. Well, it just shows you never know. Coming down the off the hill up there, up about there, I tripped over and rolled my left ankle, and I fell on the ground, and when I tried to stand up, it was like, oh geez. And then I waited about a minute and it was starting to feel a bit better, so that was lucky. So I haven't done any real damage. It's just, you know, a little bit sore. But the thing is, that just shows how easy it is where you could just do something serious. Now, back up there, as here, there's no mobile phone coverage at all. So if the worst had happened and I'm up there, I was still up there, you know, writhing in pain with a broken ankle or something, then my $300 portable locator beacon sitting in the back of the pack, well, that'd be worth its weight in gold, yeah? So that's the thing I think people don't understand, that, you know, not everywhere's got mobile phone coverage, and you're not always going to be able to get out to where you can get some. You know, so if I was still stuck up there, couldn't walk, I'm on a, if I'd completely broken it, I wouldn't be able to take, you know, to take me off, I don't know how many hours to get back up the hill. You know what I mean? So there we go. Now I'm just going to take it nice and easy down into the river, and I'm going to rest it in the river and let it chill and look after a bit. I think it's right. It's just not happy at the moment. So there you go. That's as easy as it can be to do some damage. And why anyone coming out in the bush, whether you're coming out in a group or by yourself like I do, you really should carry a portable locator beacon. I mean, mine was like $300, and it's the bee's knees. It's got GPS. It'll run for like 24 hours. The battery lasts for about 7 years. I mean, how much is your life worth? Well, this is Kabongo River, right behind me. I've just come down off Brandy Creek spur, coming down past the Brandy Creek mine, and it's pretty warm, and it's only just 1 o'clock, so you know, I'm sort of got a heap of time up my sleeve. I've only got about 700-800 metres to go to get down up further up the. Well, this is the bottom of Paling Spur. Paling Spur goes up, around, and basically up there, or actually a little bit over there, but about that height. I've just got here. I had to do a couple of river crossings to get here, which is interesting. I must say my trekking poles really helped when I was crossing the river. The last one, I would have loved to have got video of it, but it was a bit tricky and getting across it once was enough. People may not realise that for me to get a video of that, I would have had to put the camera on the left it on the other side. I'd do the crossing with my pack, then I'd have to go back, get the camera, and then do it again. So I would have had to do it 3 times, and I figured once was enough. As you can see by the height of me, the line on my jeans, you can see where the water got up to. I've got my boots over here and my socks drying. Great weather for it, I must say. They'll dry probably pretty quick. As a rule, I don't like taking my boots off when I'm bushwalking, like walking around anywhere or even camp. But this is a bit of calculated risk because it's a nice grassy spot. There's not much that I can see. I can't see any ants walking around. There's no spider holes. So I think I'll take the chance, and I do want to dry my boots anyway. Last thing I want is to put wet boots on tomorrow morning. But yeah, up about that height, that's about where I'm going to hike tomorrow. So anyway, that's for tomorrow. It's been an awesome little trip, and what I'm parked next to is the Kabongo River. Like I said, this is the bottom of Paling Spur, and awesome little spot. And this is one of those places, again, I've talked about these before, where there's no other way to get to them than to walk out. We've got to have areas like this for the people that, you know, are up to hiking out to these spots. There's plenty of other places, specky spots that people can get to, you know, that they can drive to, things like that. But it's nice that the only way you can get here is to carry a pack, get in here. This will be my second night out in my big trip, so I'm sort of getting into it. I haven't done many Ks today. I'm not exactly sure. About 8.5, 9, so just a nice cruisy day. It's only 2:30, so I got here with plenty of time to dry my boots and stuff. So it's and also I must say I took a bit of a stumble, half twisted my ankle. The river crossings and getting the ankle nice and cool in the water seemed to help it quite a lot. So there you go, bit of Mother Nature injury treatment. Anyway, time for a cuppa. Pretty impressed. I'm just over 1400 metres, so I've climbed 200 metres in just on 1 hour. That's not too bad. Certainly the trekking poles are helping. Whew, well, I'm virtually at the top of Paling Spur. Sort of the track's all flattened out, but it's a little bit difficult to see, and that's why you need navigation knowledge for this track. Here's behind me, and that's pretty easy to follow, but up here, yeah, you've got to make sure you go and keep it in the right direction. So anyway, I tell you what, that tree that was across the track, I'm lucky I brought my handsaw with me, otherwise I would have, I don't know, I would have had to go around it somehow, and that would have been pretty tricky. So anyway, looks like I'm basically getting to the, I'm nearly at the top, so sort of the most of it's over. It's not too bad, it's only 11:30, so it hasn't taken me too long. That tree held me up for quite a while, so these are the things that can happen when you're out bushwalking. A lot of these trees were burnt back in the 2003 or the 2009 fires, and obviously they've just been left there, and then ultimately they end up falling over, which is a bit like this here. You know, you can see there's a whole stack of them that have fallen over. Alright, so I'm right up here on the plains. I'm not far from Young's hut. As you can see, I'm in the middle of a bit of a swampy or water area, and there's no track here at the moment, so I'm trying to find it. I think it's up over here. Goes up there somewhere, so it might be just here. But yeah, it disappeared when I was crossing over a bit of a swampy area. Anyway, that's what it's like. That's why you need to have navigation ability. In fact, right there, I reckon that might be it. So not far wrong. Anyway, the weather's great. Could be a lot worse. Could be pouring rain or hail, snow. It's taken me a little longer than I expected to get up Paling Spur, but that's the way it goes sometimes. Anyway, I'm going to keep soldering on. My next goal at this point is to get to Young's hut and have a bit of a break and chill out before I've got to finally get to Twonga huts tonight. But yeah, well, one thing before the other. So yeah, I better go and see if this is the track and find my way to Young's. But again, look at this. This is absolutely awesome, eh? Oh, beautiful. So here I am at Young's Hut, sort of my primary destination for the day. I've still got a couple more Ks to do. I've got to get down to Toowoomba Huts, but it's been a bit of a interesting trip. Today's been, like I mentioned at the start, that this was going to be the toughest day, so it lived up to expectations, but possibly not as tough as it could have been. It was a bit less of the bushwhacking that I had back in 2015, 2016, whenever I was coming through. I have to check that. But it seems like there's a few more people going through. The track's certainly more defined. I basically was able to follow the track from the bottom right up to the top. It just got a bit interesting when I got onto the plains. Bit of nav required, so it's always good to you know, to make sure that you've got navigational skills, because you never know when to need them, and certainly needed them today. Took a couple of compass bearings just to check I was going in the right direction. Also had the GPS, and I had a track, my previous track, so that I could sort of keep a look on where I was in respect to that.
She said, young boy, where you traveling to? I said, darling, the same place as you. She said, I know a shortcut to get you there on time. Well, maybe I come along if you be so kind. Then I don't know where I'm going, but
Well, it's been a bit of a long day, but I've only got about 700 metres to go. I'm coming down to the track that takes you up this way, up to Pretty Valley Pondage. I'm getting down to Toowoomba Huts, so the next time I take off my pack, I won't have to put it on tomorrow. I'm having 2 days down at Toowoomba Huts, which is going to be great. And tomorrow I'm going to go up onto Mount Jarmathung, which is right there. So I'll get some shots from up there, and then over here. So Mount Jarmathung's there, over there. That's heading towards, that's the Fainters, or the back end of the Fainters. So that's where I'm going in 2 days' time. But for the moment, I'm just looking forward to getting down to the huts, take my pack off, and then start to relax. It's been one of those days, but still great to be out here. Well, it's taken me all day, but I'm finally here at Toowoomba Huts. It's been a hard slog, but I'm here now. I'm going to set my tent up, set up my tent here, and I'm looking forward to have a cuppa, and I'm going to be here for 2 nights, so it's going to be great. All right. Oh. Hey. That feels great. Get that off my back. Whew. All right, time to chill out. Well, I'm just walking down the track back to the camp at Toowoomba Huts. I've been up on top of Mount Jarmathung, I've been up the summit of Mount Jarmathung, which is up there, and great views up there. There was also another geocache up there, so I found that. So it's been a nice little day walk. So now I'm just heading back to camp, which is I don't know, about 600 metres further down the track, and just checked the weather when I was up there on the mobile. Looks like it's going to be a rainy day tomorrow, so that'll be interesting. I'm going across the Fainters, which is sort of that way. So after my pretty tough day yesterday, I'm still a bit sluggish today, but I'm sort of getting over it. I'm going to have a nice relaxing afternoon, just chill out in and around camp, and sometimes you need that, especially, you know, if it's going to be rainy tomorrow. That'll make it a little bit different, but we'll see how that goes. You know, if that's the only wet day I've got to deal with, well, oh, that's the way it goes. Anyway, here's a bit of the track as I walk down towards Toowoomba Huts. We'll try that again. I tried to show you some of the track, and then the camera said it was out of memory, so I'd filled up the SD card. So I had to replace it, and this is how I keep my SD cards and spare batteries from my cameras on my camera waterproof, in this little waterproof box. And I also have my little FiO M7 music player in there to keep it, you know, look after it. I like listening to a bit of music at the end of the day, you know, laying down in the tent. Anyway, here's a bit of the track. Alright, well, this is a good spot. You can see up behind me, right up there, or right there is Mount Jarmathung, or might be that one there. Hang on, I'm not sure. Hang on. Pretty sure we're up there. So there we go. Anyway, almost to camp. Looking forward to getting down, making a cuppa. I had a nice, relaxing afternoon with a couple of these guys running around. And then I saw some smoke on the horizon, and then I checked the emergency website and saw that there was some bushfires nearby. So I just kept looking at that and watching the smoke, and then I still had a nice relaxing afternoon. Then in the morning it was raining, so I had to pack everything up, and it was nice to have the hut there. And then I had to leave. Well, as you can see, the weather's not as good as it has been the last few days. But I've waited a little while to, it looks like it's getting better. I've checked the radar on the Bureau of Meteorology page, and it looks like it's getting past. So time to head off. I'm going over the Fainters, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah, well, I've just had another stumble and actually banged my head on this rock right here. I'm all right, but I'm just going to have a bit of a break here, because when you have a bit of an injury, the body is okay, but damn it. Anyway, the weather looks like it's slightly clearing up. Alright, well after my stumble I've continued on, and I'm just arriving at my first little stop. I've marked this as the first fainter creek. Anyway, have a look at this, it's pretty nice. Well, welcome to wherever you want it to be. In actuality, I'm about 100 metres from South Fader. As you can see, the weather's caving in again. Not very good views today. This just shows you how it can go from pretty bad to worse. Now I've got a bit of hail to contend with. They're pretty big too, so I might just try and sit here and in the shelter. I'm just having a bit of a lunch break. Even when the weather's bad and you're hiking, you still need to have stops and have food stops. So here we go. This wasn't on the brochure. Starting to rain. I'm nearly down off up there, not that you can see it, is North Fader, maybe up there. South Fader's over there somewhere, and we have a saying in bushwalking that there's no such thing as bad weather, just bad equipment. So it's pretty cool, and I'm just looking forward to get to the campsite, which is only about, let me have a look. It's, whoops. Oh, how's that for a catch? Probably didn't see it. 1.04. So, yes, I'm having trouble getting this back into its thing. It's like that sometimes. Go back in there. There you go. Alright. Anyway, time to get my trekking poles off the tree. Anyway. Sorry, having some trouble with my tripod now. Now the strap's in the way. When it's not working for you, it's not working for you. So, here's my track, and as you can see, the weather's, well, you'd probably deem this hostile, I reckon. It's not the best. I think I was. Alright. Bit rare, now it's snowing. Talk about get a bit of everything. So there you go. End of November, and we get snow on the mountains. That's why I say to people, you got to be prepared for everything. So anyway, time to get to my camp. I don't have my snowshoes. So anyway, jeez. I got to tell you, this wasn't on the brochure. It's a bit rare. All right. Gets any worse, I'll need snowshoes. Alright, so I'm making my way down to Spring Saddle. It's totally different conditions to yesterday. Oh, hang on. I just realised me spoon's a bit dirty. Shit. That looks marginally better. Oh, trekking poles. There we go. So yeah, complete contrast to yesterday. I'm making my, like I said, I'm making my way down to Spring Saddle. I've made a bit of a navigational decision. My planned route was to walk down into the West Kabongo River, which I'm still doing, but the route I had planned meant I would have had to walk about 17 k's today, and I'm feeling not up to it. I've had a couple of issues with some of my meals. It's I'm probably not as fueled up as I need to be, so I'm going to take a bit of a shortcut. So I'm still going to get down to the West Kabongo, but I'll probably only walk about, I don't know, maybe 8 or 9 k's, and then if I'd camped where I'd planned, tomorrow I would have had to walk about 10k up to this point, where tomorrow I've probably only got about 6k to get to that same point. So make it a little bit easier. Still means I'll, you know, meet myself in, well, my self-described requirements of contiguous steps from JB Plain to Bright, but it's just a slightly different route. I must say also, if I wasn't carrying my portable location beacon, I would have stuck to my other route, but because I've got that, then it really doesn't matter too much to go a little bit off route, because I'm still going to be fairly close and in the general area. So anyway, sometimes you just got to make decisions like that. You just got to think about looking after yourself. I always prefer to err on the side of safety. If you're not feeling 100%, or you're a bit knocked around or injured, you know, maybe you got to have a rest day, or, you know, like, you know, make a decision like this, take a bit of a shortcut. It's better to survive and fight another day than push yourself too hard, and who knows what can go wrong. So you know, people, you know, some people, they push it too hard and they try to, you know, get to the top when they probably shouldn't have tried, you know. And some people, unfortunately, well, they get carted out in body bags. And you know, the Australian bush is a dangerous place. The hills can knock you around, the weather. I mean, yesterday the hail and snow was pretty ordinary. Pretty exciting though, but there you go. Anyway, this is the view. It's not too bad. Oh, and the other thing I should have said was, actually today's my birthday, turned 50, so, well, that's also part of the reason I decided to bugger it. I'm going to make it a bit easier on myself. So, happy birthday to me, woohoo! There you go. Anyway, just got to keep going down this track.
It's like you watch up on the miles cause it's getting light. I'm cocky every guy for God's sake. This is summertime in Australia. This is summertime in Australia.
Alright, so I've come across a real wrinkle in the plan. On the map, it shows that there's a Westlink track coming off this road that I'm on, but apparently in reality it's not there. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do. My other option is to continue back up and go back to my initial plan, but that means I've got to do about nearly 20 k's to get down to where I'd have to camp. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Could be game over. I'm not sure. I might have to call someone and get them to come pick me up. I'm not sure, but it's just Like at the moment, the GPS is saying I'm 55 metres away, but I don't know about you, I can't see no track here, so makes it very, very, very difficult. Anyway, we'll continue on. What I think I'm going to do is I'll get the phone out, might fire up Google Maps and see if they got a better idea. Well, this is where it sits. Because of this West Link track actually not being there, I tried to look for it and I used up a bit of energy on that. And I think this is a really screwed up issue. And I was also on the Google Maps, and it told me that it's actually there. Anyway, I tried to continue down the West Kiwa logging track, but I'm just a bit crook today, and I think when I fell over yesterday, the bang on my head sort of knocked me around. Anyway, the only option I've got now is I'm camped on the side of the road, which isn't really good, but that's the way it goes sometimes. So what I've decided is tomorrow I've got to get down into Mount Beauty, which isn't where I was meant to be. I'll then get a taxi, take me over to Bright, and I'll end up at my last planned campsite, and then I'll spend a couple of nights there before doing the last bit into Bright. And while it means I won't be walking all the way from JB Plain to Bright, it'll still be a journey, so you know, it is what it is. I've contacted a couple of, well, friends that are up this way, but they haven't even bothered responding, which has really pissed me off, I must say. I mean, if they weren't able to help, could they at least say, nah, sorry mate, we can't help you? But I haven't even had a response, and I think that's just, you know, a bit of a fuck you to Trev. So I'm pretty pissed off about that. I mean, if someone sent me a message saying we need your help and I couldn't, I would get back to them. But anyway, I'll chase that up later. Anyway, I'm gonna just camp here on the side of the road, and like I said, tomorrow I'll head into Mount Beauty. I'm really pissed off about this bloody track that's marked on the map, but it's not there. I mean, someone needs their bloody head caved in over that, because, you know, they tell people to carry maps and, you know, topographical maps on, you know, even on their phones and stuff. Well, what's the use of it? And in your GPS, what's the use if there's not accurate information in there? You know, so I mean, if I'd known the track wasn't there, I could have planned for that case. But damn it, it says it's there. Anyway, like I said, well, there you go. Oh well, it's been my 50th birthday today, and like I said, I still haven't had any responses from anyone. So that basically tells me that you know, the only person you can rely on in this life is yourself, and you know, pretty, you know, like I say, I'm pretty pissed off. I'm just like, fuck it. If that's the way people want to treat me, and I've been treated like that all my life, so really it's nothing unusual. But if the next person asks me for help, I think I'm probably going to turn around and say, sorry, I'm not in that mode anymore. Fuck it. I can't be bothered anymore, because people don't want to help me. Well, I'm not going to help them.
She said, young boy. She said, young boy, where you traveling to? I said, darling, the same place as you. She said, I know a shortcut to get you there on time. Well, maybe I come along if you be so kind. Well, I don't know where I'm going, but I'll take you there, where the river's always flowing. I said I'll take you there. I said I'll take you there.
Alright, so this is actually what I had planned to be my last campsite, down the Ovens River in the Ovens Valley. I'm only about 8 kilometres upstream from Bright, which is my final destination. I was meant to get here later today, but because of the screw up with the track, the Westlink track, I had really no other option than to push it down to Mount Beauty. I could have pushed it down into the West Kiewa Valley, but then if I was a bit knocked around and struggled to get up, then I could have had problems. So sometimes you just got to think about where you could end up if you push it too hard. So it was great to get down into Mount Beauty yesterday, and the afternoon was awesome, just sitting there chatting with Hugh and Greg and Nick, and also the tech guy from the Alpine radio station. And it's a bit of an interesting issue about that track, but anyway, sometimes you got to roll with the punches. In terms of this particular campsite, it's actually fairly special to me because this was my summer camp back at the end of 2008, so over a decade ago. I'd come through a very tough winter out in the Buckland Valley. I'd been snowed in. I'd fallen in the river at one point, and I decided I needed to be closer into town and where I had mobile phone access. Also, I got TV reception here, which is my little TV I had in the van. But there's a couple of strange things that come out of it, and but this place, it is very special, you know, because ultimately, if I hadn't come here, I wouldn't have ended up going to Melbourne, which turned out to be the best thing I could ever do. More on that a bit later. Now it's just time for a cuppa. When the water boils, the meat pot behaves itself, which it's not. This is interesting. This is actually where I should have been coming out later today, instead of being dropped off by the taxi over the river. soundtrack. I've got to put up with that all day.
That on your registration, but it's clearly a malfunctioning beacon if you didn't intentionally activate it, and it's going off just when you touch it. Then it's no good for what it's for. So hopefully you can take it back to the place that you bought it from and get it exchanged, or get the manufacturer to help you out.
Yep. All right. Well, I'm just getting the second side screw. So yeah. Well, it says it's waterproof and it floats. So I was just doing.
Did it get wet by any chance?
Hey.
Did the thing get wet by any chance?
Yeah, it was in the water. It was floating, and I was just doing some filming of my waterproof gear, including
Have a look at your beacon description. Is this a water activated beacon?
No, it's a no, it's, where is it? It says
So you had the beacon in water.
Yep. It says it's waterproof. So oh, there we go. Second screw's out. So it's just activated again. Hang on. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just taking the top one off. I left the easy one till last. All right. So this is now I'm going to have to spring the latch because it won't disconnect without springing the latch. So I'm just going to have to.
Whatever you need to do, is just a battery inside that has to come out to silence that beacon once for all.
Yep.
And we need it silenced because it's going to start throwing detections at us shortly, and it puts out a couple of different signals. One to the satellite, which I'll see on the screen, and then it puts out another one that all the aircraft near your house are going to be hearing, or are probably already hearing.
All right.
And they'll start reporting that as well. So,
well, I've just opened the latch. Now it's no, still doesn't want to go. Hang on. So it's all right. Last night on my hike, I thought I was about to just go and have a nice quiet night. Anyway, all right. Last one. Oh, here we go. Whoops. All right, so this is interesting. Where do I find the battery plug? Oh, the little plugs. One either side. Yep, got it.
Alright. Yeah, look, I know they say they're waterproof, but I'm not sure about having them swim in water. I'm not real sure if that's the best idea. You'd have to look at your specific documentation with that particular beacon, but if I had to guess, I'd say the water had something to do with the malfunction.
Well, I'll certainly be taking this up with someone later on, but yep, just
Just go back to the place you bought it from. Just tell them that it malfunctioned. You don't have to destroy the thing. Approach the manufacturer if you need to, but from my point of view, we just can't have beacons active that aren't related to actual distress.
yep.
Okay.
All right, so it's now yep, actually well, one last twist in the story, or possibly not the last. This is my last morning out bush, and it's going to be a slightly wet day. Oh, well, that's it. Day 9, last pack up for this trip. So now I've just got to hike 8 k's down, along, and then into Bright. It's going to be good. I'm going to go to the bakery and get something to eat. See how the GPS download goes. Because I think by the time I get to Bright, I've done about 80 k's. Anyway, it's good to be back here. This was my summer camp, and when I was at the end of 2008, and the main reason I wanted to camp here on my last night for this hike was, if I hadn't come here, I wouldn't have met the girl that I met, and that was the reason I went down to Melbourne for 4 days to try and sort things out with her, but that didn't work. She didn't like me going there. But anyway, a decade later I'm still down there, so there you go. Probably the most whimsical thing I've done in my life. I borrowed half the money I needed to get down and back, so I had to stay down there for 4 days and wait for the money to materialise in my bank, and then I decided, why not stay for a fortnight? Stayed for a fortnight, and then another fortnight, then another one, and like I said, a decade later I'm still there. All because I decided to camp here. So one thing leads to another. Camping here led to me meeting her, and then ultimately that's what led me to Melbourne. So this is also a fairly important place. It's also where I was able to sort of get my head back into gear. It was good meeting up with different people. Well, here we go, day 9, and I'm just making my way down the bike path to Bright. It would have been pretty impressive if I could have been able to get down into the West Kiwa and then up, and then get down to the campsites. But anyway, I'm still walking in. This is the new bike path. It's pretty good. Anyway, probably the highlights that I'd like to, I think the best highlights for this whole trip have been probably coming down over the fainters in the snow. That was actually pretty impressive. Also, Brandy Creek Mine site was a interesting spot, but I think also for me personally, camping at my last campsite for the last 2 nights has been pretty nice to be there, because you know it's a very special spot. But for me, anyway, I'm looking forward to cruising in, get into the bakery, maybe get a sausage roll and a big M for brekkie, I reckon. Sounds good. Just a little bit of rain, just enough to get me wet, but I don't think it's enough to work putting on the waterproof gear. So just sheltering here in the just under the pine trees. Probably the only good thing these are good for is a bit of cover, and look, it's drying up already. Well, making my way down, I'm getting pretty close now. Just another thing, when I started planning this, I wanted to put some things into it. Today would have actually been my mum's birthday, and if I've got the mathematics right, she would have turned 74. Anyway, my dad's birthday was on the 13th of December, but anyway, I'm just cruising down. And I'll just show you some of the different aspects of this trip. Just another thing, right over the road is actually where I'll be staying tonight and tomorrow night, so looking forward to getting there a bit later on in the day. Anyway, still got to do a couple of things before I get there, so probably only got about another, I don't know, maybe 300 metres to get up into the main street, so certainly coming to an end now.
Come along, if you be so kind. Then I don't know where I'm going, but I'll tell you that. Snags on the greasy off lights, like you watch out for the miles, cause it's getting light. I'm cocky, every guy broke outside. This is summertime and